Did you know that despite record-breaking tourism across Europe, one country is still quietly flying under the radar? It's not overcrowded like Italy, it's not overpriced like France, and it's not overhyped like Croatia or Iceland. We're talking about Portugal, a country that somehow manages to be laid back and electric, soulful and modern, coastal and mountainous, all at the same time. It's the kind of place people visit for a week and end up staying for a year, a country that doesn't shout for your attention. But once you're there, it feels like you've found something the rest of the world forgot. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why Portugal is the most underrated destination in Europe today, from its cities and surf towns to its wine regions, islands, and everything in between. Whether you're planning a vacation, a sabbatical, or a move abroad, Portugal has something that other countries don't. Stick around to the end, because we'll reveal one small town that's being quietly called the next Tuscany, but without the crowds. Let's get into it. Most people land in Lisbon, and for good reason. Lisbon is a city that lives in layers. Cobbled hills, tram wires, red rooftops, tiles that shine in the sun like mosaics made of memory. But it's not just picturesque, it's alive. You'll walk past 800-year-old churches and suddenly hear a beat drop from a rooftop DJ. You'll order sardines and vinho verde in a tavern that hasn't changed since 1950, then turn the corner and find a Michelin-starred tasting menu behind an unmarked door. And that's Lisbon's secret. It doesn't try to be trendy, it just is. You've got neighborhoods for every vibe. Alfama for tradition, Bairro Alto for late nights, Príncipe Real for brunch and boutiques. And the light, that golden Lisbon glow, it's not a myth. It follows you from sunrise viewpoints to sunset miraduros, bouncing off the river and through the stone. But here's the move. After Lisbon, don't go where everyone else goes. Don't just jump to the Algarve. Go north, to Porto. If Lisbon is light, Porto is texture. The buildings lean. The sidewalks shimmer with azulejos. The bridges stretch across the Douro River like sculpture. It's cinematic, but raw. And the food? Deep, rich, inventive. Think slow-cooked meats, strong wine, hearty francesinhas, and pastries that feel illegal. But the real star here is the Douro Valley. Just a couple hours outside Porto, this winding river gorge is home to some of the oldest wine estates in the world. You can take a boat through the hills, stay at a quinta, sip port in the vineyard where it was born. And the best part? It's still shockingly affordable. Portugal, in general, offers a quality-to-cost ratio that's becoming harder and harder to find in Europe. Boutique hotels under $100 a night, lunch menus for €10, beaches that feel like they should be private, but aren't. And speaking of beaches, it's time to talk about the coastline. Portugal has over 1,100 miles of it, and unlike the Mediterranean, the Atlantic here feels wild. Waves crash, cliffs tower. The sun doesn't just shine, it pours. Sure, you've heard of the Algarve, but head just a bit west or north, and you'll find beach towns that are still blissfully unspoiled. Comporta, for example, just south of Lisbon, is being quietly called the Hamptons of Portugal. Picture pine forests, dune-backed beaches, eco-chic cottages, and stylish cafes that look like they were designed by nature. Ericeira, a surf town just 45 minutes from the capital. It's Europe's first world surfing reserve, with cobblestone streets, seafood shacks, and a growing digital nomad scene that's still low-key and genuine. Even further north, you've got Nazaré, home to the biggest rideable waves on Earth. Yes, they're terrifying. Yes, it's epic. But it's also a laid-back town with fisherman's charm and a deep connection to the sea. And when you want to go remote, hop a flight to Madeira. This volcanic island feels like another planet, and in the best way. Cliffs that drop straight into turquoise, lavada hikes through cloud forests, natural pools carved into lava. The capital, Funchal, is colorful and calm. But the real magic happens when you rent a car and just drive. Through tunnels, along ridgelines, out to viewpoints where the sky meets the Atlantic in every shade of blue. Madeira is warm year-round, lush beyond belief, and now has some of the best infrastructure for remote work in Europe. If Bali and Hawaii had a quieter, older cousin with wine, it would be Madeira. But maybe you want something even more under the radar, something slower, rural. That's when you go to the Alentejo. This central southern region is Portugal's Tuscany, but without the influencers. Just golden hills, cork trees, olive groves, and whitewashed villages where time moves like honey. You'll find wineries with no signs, castles with no crowds, roads with no cars. Evora is the historic anchor, a city filled with Roman ruins, Gothic cathedrals, and bone chapels that whisper their stories. But keep going, stay in a farmhouse, visit Monsaraz, a hilltop town that feels like a fairy tale. Taste wines you'll never find in stores. This is the Portugal that even some Portuguese forget. But once you've been, it never leaves you. And here's the thing about Portugal that's hard to explain until you're there. It's not just a destination, it's a feeling. The feeling of hearing fado music spill from a doorway at midnight, of watching waves crash on a beach with no one else in sight, of sitting at a table that turns into a dinner party. Portugal has rhythm, but it's quiet. It's not curated for tourists. It just lets you exist. You don't go to Portugal to check off sights. You go to remember what it feels like to slow down, to taste slowly, to walk without maps, to discover that sometimes the best thing to do is just sit on a bench, drink a bica, and watch the world pass by. And the best part? It still feels undiscovered. Even now, when travelers are cramming Venice and Barcelona, Portugal still has space. Room to breathe, room to wander, room to stay longer than you planned. So if you're planning your next trip and wondering where to go that has beauty, affordability, culture, and heart, you might not need to look any further. Portugal isn't perfect, but it's perfectly human. And that might be exactly what travel needs right now. If this helped you fall in love with Portugal, or just got you curious, hit like and subscribe. We've linked our favorite regions, seasonal tips, slow travel itineraries, and visa info down below, especially if you're thinking about going remote or relocating. And let us know in the comments, what's your Portugal dream trip? Because sometimes the most underrated place on the map ends up becoming your favorite place on Earth. We'll see you there.